good.
I'm so glad to, have you on the plan because theater is one thing that as a parent, I've got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. I'm
Mhm.
just like you drag your 4 kids to theater, I'm dragging my kids to theater. My
Yep.
husband teases me that he's like, "We live in Westchester County to be next to New York City. Why don't you drag the kid?" And I'm like, "But you gotta support local theater." Is this your mantra too? Like, "Yes, we can go anytime to go see Broadway shows." But
It is why
uh,
we live here, though. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. What's
Yeah.
your thought on that? Support local theater? Are you constantly
Oh,
banging people about that?
absolutely, because, there's I like to catch kids, like, I do this high school tour every year where I see as many high school productions as I can,
Yeah,
and you see the work that goes into it from every aspect of it, and the kids it's their varsity sport, it's what they do, and
right.
and to have that energy going into something like that and having it in your neighborhood, and not supporting it to me is sad, is really sad because kids notice if people show up or not, and it's always great to have a full house.
Yeah, yeah. I had one mom, when I started this last year, I started putting all of the high school theater on there. That was just a no-brainer. I've just started putting varsity basketball games on. Maybe I'll do hockey. Uh, but I thought, yeah, of course I'm putting local theater on there. If you've got a 3-year-old, absolutely bring him. Even if he just
Sure.
lasts till intermission. She was saying, "I'm so
That's
sad." I brought
Yeah.
him because it's the lights, it's the curtain, it's the stage, it's what is intermission? Oh, it's snack time. Oh, what's the bow? All of it. I mean, is that your experience too?
Absolutely, and to them, that's Broadway. To them, a
Oh, yeah.
kid that they know from even middle schoolers look up to high school kids as, "Wow, these are the amazing actors that I wanna be just like them," and it's modeling behavior, and it's setting expectations, but, it's really important, Kayla, to know your child, to know your kid, and know that and read the signs when it's not going. Read the room, right? And be able to say, be prepared to bail, give it a shot, take them, and be open to them, and let them experience it, and the spectacle of it and all of that, but also be prepared to bail. And you know
Right.
what? Into the Woods, Act 1 of Into the Woods is a perfect place to stop if you're a certain age, right?
Mhm.
Act 2 of Into the Woods gets dark. But Act 1 of Into the Woods, everything they all live happily ever after, and there you go. That's a great, that's like an hour and 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer than that.
It's
Great
I would
music.
I would argue the same thing about Sound of Music. Part 2 is quite dark. So stick with
Yes, yes.
him 16 going on 17 numbers and then, "All right, time to go home."
There you go. Wasn't that like Phoebe from Friends? Her mother only showed her like
Is
the
that right?
first
Got
half of
me.
all these shows.
It's just kinda it's like in 5th grade when Pretty Woman came out, I thought Pretty Woman was a movie about shopping because, the mom that showed it to us was fast forwarding. Oh, oh, okay.
Yeah, Phoebe was like, "Old Yeller, they only watched it until he got the dog," and it was like, "Oh, that's great. He gets the dog. It's wonderful." And they were like, "No, it's not." But but knowing your audience, meaning your audience that you're bringing to be part of the audience, is
Yeah,
really important
yeah.
because there's a story that I love to tell. It's horrible, but when when High School Musical first came to local stages, the first place to do it was Irvington Town Hall Theater.
Hmm,
Now, I had done theater at Irvington for years. I directed my first show there when community theater was the Irvington Town Hall Players, and I directed there. So I was a kind of a homecoming for me. The people remembered me, and I brought my daughter Bridget, who was maybe she was 11, and I brought my son Joe, who was 7, who was not a theater kid. He was a very fidgety kid, but I had to go to cover it, to write about it, but
mhm,
I so much wanted to share this with him that
yeah,
I did everything. I basically bargained with him all the way through. "Oh, we'll get pizza. You'll have soda. You want a candy bar? Had a candy bar." And
yeah.
well, 5 minutes into the show, Kayla, who's throwing up but Joe?
Oh,
And
I
all these kids are all these little girls in Irvington with their little patent leather shoes and their little velvet dresses are all going you, and the mothers are clutching them away from this boy who's just
Mhm.
basically projectile. Oh, it was
Right,
horrible, but
right,
I tried so hard. I tried too hard, and I wasn't feeding on the signals. I had an outcome I wanted, and
right.
I wasn't being honest to myself or to Joe, poor Joe, who, you know, did
We
not
all
have a
have
good
those
night.
days. Oh my god, that sounds really, really messy.
It was, and but the great thing was that the saints at Irvington Town Hall Theater were like, they swept him up, they cleaned him up, it was just amazing. But
That's show business, baby.
it sure is. But I guess the takeaway is, don't freight the experience with too much anticipation.
Right.
Don't
But on the
just
flip side, I do
Yeah,
wanna hear your tips about what do they say about travel? The most exciting thing about travel is planning for the trip. So,
sure.
you're writing down all the restaurants that people are recommending. When it comes to seeing a show, whether it's on Broadway in New York City or
Right,
Irvington Theater,
right.
are we listening to the soundtrack? How are we sort of hyping them up? I found that works really well with my girls. I
Mhm,
just enrolled my youngest at the Ridgefield, Conservatory of Dance. They have a class called Broadway Babies. So
mhm.
she's "I don't wanna do Broadway." I was like, "You don't even know what Broadway Babies is." She goes, "What's Broadway?" I said, "Well, have I got a soundtrack for you?" And so I Chicago, and now she's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing.
Wait, Chicago? You did Chicago?
Yeah.
And how old is
The
she?
Rubber Ba what not Rubber Band Man, what is the she loves the
Mr.
oh,
Cellophane?
Cellophane Man, yeah,
Yeah, Mr. Cellophane. Yeah.
loves that song. And I was thinking,
Well,
is she too young to watch the Renee Zellweger re edition? But I saw it.
maybe.
Maybe it's a little racy for a
Yeah,
5-year-old,
yeah,
but maybe a high school theater show, you know?
yeah.
There's, like, 4 productions of Chicago this spring.
8. 8. There and
8.
there are 6 of them there are 6 of them one weekend and 2 the next weekend, and then it's gone. Yeah,
Uh,
so but and that's the thing is, so much of what she sees when she goes to see that show will go right over her head, and all she'll think about is the black dresses, and look at the way they dance, and look at all that, and the lyrics won't probably land with her, but she'll remember the lights and all those musicians are over there playing, and look at the set changes and all that, and that's what you want to instill in them,
Mhm.
and
Magic.
sometimes, like, I'm a big fan of not prepping too much, like
Mm,
not, you like Annie, the show Annie. Yeah, the soundtrack, you should know every word of that.
yeah.
And they probably do when you go to see Annie.
Oh,
Or,
we're big Annie fans
um,
here, yeah.
there's a couple of productions. I have a list of some that are kind of within half hour or so of your area that there are 2 productions of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Great score,
Oh,
amazing songs. And, do you know that song, that score, the Rodgers and Hammerstein version of Cinderella? It's not
no,
the Disney.
I
Oh,
can
amazing.
I can sing a Disney version of it. Is it similar?
Not at all, not at all. It's totally different, and it's Rodgers and Hammerstein, and they do, when our girls I have two girls, and then we had 2 boys. So the girls, there was a, Disney, like, Disney was bringing back the Sunday night show that they used to have when I was a kid, and
Mhm.
Brandy did a version with Whitney Houston as the fairy
Oh, right,
godmother.
right, yes.
That's
That's
the version, that's the version, and it's got some amazing, amazing songs and
cool. I'm
just
kind of watch that.
wonderful. So that's gonna be on stage. Let me see. So, what I thought we could do, maybe, Kayla, is I could take you through the season a little bit, and what I
Yeah,
did was I looked at
I
the list.
yeah, go ahead.
I I looked at the list, and I figured we could do some. I mean, if your middle schooler is a theater kid, anything on the calendar is fine, is
Yeah,
totally fine. If your middle schooler is kinda newish, I have some of those. I have some for, like, little kids that will work for, all ages, but I figured that might be a good barometer. Does that make sense? Or we
yeah.
could just go with little kids.
And in terms of, if we're doing a production, and a lot of these start at 7 o'clock, which is, witching hour. Even for
Yeah,
like third grader, it's like it's a big thing for her to stay up till 9 o'clock. But we do it.
sure.
Absolutely take her to a 7 o'clock show. But I don't think I'm going the whole way to Irvington for that 7 o'clock show. We might do a day
No.
trip matinee.
There are
Perfect.
matinees. Yeah, there are matinees, and I've got a I can tell you what shows have matinees, but
Yeah.
so, like, let's start this weekend. There's only one show, and it's Grease, and it's for a middle schooler, I'm thinking, and that's at School of the Holy Child, and I'm gonna write about them this afternoon. I'm gonna post the story, I think.
Mhm.
Um, School of the Holy Child is an all-girls Catholic high school, and unlike the other Catholic high schools, same-sex high schools, they cast their entire show in their halls. So
Mm.
there's a girl playing Danny Zuko. There's a girl
Oh,
playing Kaniki.
yeah.
Back in the fall, the man who came to dinner was a girl from Bronxville. So it's really kind of it's really kind of cool, and it's a different kind of spin on Greece. I was like School of the Holy Child for me is great because they I like the fact that they do that. They cast within their
Yeah.
halls. So they're doing Greece this weekend, and there's
Where's
a School of the Holy Child is in Rye. It's right off
okay. Oh, right.
so it's close to you guys. You just come down 684 and you get on 287. You get off right by the Hutch. It's right close to the Hutch. So
Yeah.
it's a it's an easy ride. Um, the following weekend is a busy weekend. There's like 10 shows.
Mhm.
Um, um, North Salem Middle High School has Sister Act, which is kind of fun. Pleasantville is doing Guys and Dolls, which is kind of a bright, colorful um, show, and Pleasantville they cast like 100 and something kids. It's like the stage is full when there's
Yeah.
a big group number. It's like they're packed. Last year they did Music Man, and I think it was bigger than the actual town in Iowa. There were so
Yes.
many kids on stage. Kennedy Catholic is doing Legally Blonde that same weekend. They're
Fun.
in Somers.
We just
So
showed my
those three are kind
8-year-old.
of yeah. So that would totally work. And again, if Act One is enough, Act One is enough.
Yeah.
For little kids, I think the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella, which is at Byram Hills in Armonk,
Great idea.
that's March 5th, 6th, and 7th. And tickets are $15 at the door, $10 in advance. And then Yorktown's doing Wizard of Oz that
Right.
same
I have
weekend.
that.
So those are good options that weekend. The following weekend, Pleasantville does 2 weekends of Guys and Dolls, so they'll be back up again.
Yeah.
Valhalla's not too far for you guys, I think. They're doing Mamma Mia, which is kind of fun. It's kind of a fun show. The subject matter, girl not sure who her fathers are. I mean, is
Yeah.
okay, but because it will go over their heads, and it's ABBA music, and how bad could that be, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, and here's one I would suggest you travel for because I think it's I think it's one of the best high school musical options out there
Mhm.
for subject matter is Once Upon a Mattress, which is a
Mm.
take on the Princess and the Pea
Yeah.
story. And it's written by Mary Rogers, who was the daughter of Richard Rogers, who wrote of Rogers and Hammerstein fame. And it's just a fun kind of. It's about a princess who is not very princess-like. She swims the moat to get
Mhm.
there. She arrives covered in seaweed. It's just a fun show, and they're doing it in Tuckahoe. So Tuckahoe is a little bit of a haul, but I think they've got it. There's a 3 o'clock on March 15th. So if you wanted to do that, that would be a good one, like a matinee kind of
What's
deal.
a good do you know, like, a good post, or pre-show, sort of grab a bite to eat? That sounds like a great day trip.
You know what? I usually don't, so I'm not sure about where to eat, but let me see if I can find out for that. I'll post that on my when I post that story. I'll
Yeah.
put some options in there.
I would love that.
Um, And then the following weekend, the weekend of March 19 to 22, Brewster is doing Cinderella, the Rodgers and Hammerstein
Mm.
Cinderella. and they've got four performances at 7 on March 19 and 20, and 2 and 7 on March 21, and 2 o'clock on March 22nd. So you've got two matinee possibilities there
Oh, perfect.
for, and
And
that's a
actually,
big.
I'm looking down my
Sorry.
list. Do you have, do you go to Fox Lane shows? They're doing Footloose, which looks great in March
Um,
in Bedford.
Fox Lane,
Is that
is that
the
the middle school? That might be
it's
the middle school.
is that the middle
The
school?
Yeah, I think that's the middle school. The high school, I think, is doing, The Lightning Thief.
Oh, you're right, you're right, Fox Lane Middle School. That's March 7th.
Yeah,
Footloose.
right. So
Yes,
Fox Lane is doing the Lightning Thief in April, and that's
right.
the Percy Jackson. So like that's Percy Jackson mythology kind of thing, modern day mythology sort of thing, which is great. And for like a middle schooler, and even I think even a younger kid, I think your girl who likes Chicago, I think she'd be right in her wheelhouse for
Okay,
that.
alright.
Um, you also have the same weekend as Cinderella at Brewster. You have John J. Cross Rivers doing Xanadu, which
Yes.
is
About this
which
one, I
is
don't have anything.
oh really? It's
Oh,
the Olivia Newton-John. It's the Olivia Newton-John musical about a Greek. Let's see, is she Greek? She's a Greek goddess who comes down
mhm.
and takes form, and she's at in California on the boardwalk in California, and it's all on roller skates. Everybody's on roller skates. So it's kind of a wild, but it's got it's got the song, the Olivia Newton-John song Xanadu, and um, there's a character who's kind of like Danny, who's like a showman, and then there's a guy who does chalk art on the pier I
Uh-huh.
think it's the Santa Monica Pier. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of a wild ride, and it's on
Yeah,
roller skates. So the kids would probably love that.
that's
Your daughters will probably want roller skates as soon as they see that show. Just fair
exactly.
warning.
Well, we are
Um,
headed to John Jay Middle School for, SpongeBob. One of our, family friends,
uh-huh.
her daughter is the lead. She's SpongeBob. Talk about
Oh,
girls.
nice.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
there you go.
yeah.
There you go. Then just continuing on. Then in April, Lakeland High School, which I think is probably not too far a ride for you
Yeah.
guys. They're doing Bye Bye Birdie, which is a fun show.
Oh, I love that
Um,
show.
Yeah, it's a little, as my wife says, it's a little dated, but that's okay. The fact that there is a busy signal, I think, is you'll have to explain to your daughters what a busy signal was because they don't understand what that is. Um, and then Mayapack in April is doing Legally Blonde, so there's a couple of options there for
Nice.
Legally Blonde, and all this stuff is on my site. I've got all the calendar there, um, but I think the other thing you should consider, or at least think about, that's the calendar for high schools. Are you familiar with
I'm
Yellowfinch
not, no.
Project? So
No.
Yellowfinch Project is
Right.
it's based. You know what? I think they're out of North Salem.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure where they're out of. I covered them years ago. They do
Yeah.
sensory appropriate programs for children on the autism spectrum. And they
Mm.
do it's remarkable. They do great work, and they have touring shows for small groups. So if you had a group of kids who were on the spectrum, and you wanted to have an activity for them, as a group, you could contact Yellowfinch and say, "Come and do our thing." They do it for groups of like 10, small
Yeah.
groups, and it's all sensory appropriate. And they do these social stories that, like, they did it at the schoolhouse in Croton Falls years ago. I covered it. I did this whole thing on sensory theater. Um, and they did this thing where they have a social story. So they come in the first room, they have all of the elements of Peter Pan, or of Peter Rabbit, say. So here's a watering can. Here's a rake. Here are all these elements, and the kids got to touch them and see them. And then they walked into the next room, and they all sat around in a circle, and they were told the story. And if they needed to get up and leave, they could get up and leave. They could
Cool.
get up and do that thing. It's Yellowfinch is great, and they're doing something March 4th at the Westchester Children's Museum in Rye, and it's
Oh,
Westchester
wonderful.
Wednesday. And they'll have a table, and they'll have a story time and arts activities for kids to do.
I've
And
never
the
yeah.
you should check out the website for Westchester Children's Museum is discoverwcm.org.
Yeah.
So that's a good one to that's worth a trip too. It's at 10 a.m., so, definitely doable there. They
So
also
tell
have,
me
like, literary work sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask about the sensory friendly. I always see sensory friendly options. It's usually like, a matinee on the weekend for any
Yes.
show that I put in. Like Frozen right now at ACT of Connecticut. They've got a Frozen sensory friendly option, coming up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
tell me about those. If I've got a
Sure,
kid spectrum, what can I expect?
sure. That, are you familiar with the Theater Development Fund on
I've
Broadway?
I've heard of it,
Well,
yeah.
they're the people who run the tickets booth in the middle
Oh,
of
right,
Duffy
right.
Square. So but they also have this friendly, they have sensory, friendly productions. So
Yeah.
you can go see I went with a group from a family from North Salem once, and we went to see Aladdin, and their
Mhm,
son, who was, like, 18, is on the spectrum, and
mhm,
what happens there is and this is what kind of it looks like, you go in, the sound cues are maybe 40% as loud as they usually are.
mhm.
So if there's a bang, it's not a bang, it's a softer bang. The
Okay.
lights, the house lights do not come all the way down. Um, there are tactile rooms, like they hand out, fidget spinners or squeeze toys or whatever, so that
Mhm,
the child feels comfortable. There are
mhm,
rooms that they can go to if it's too much. They can stand up. Everybody stands up and walks around. During the show, kids
mhm.
talk, they have asked questions, everything is fine, there's no looks, there's none of that. And you know what, it's funny, last year, who was it? Rhinebeck High School did a s they had a girl who was playing Sandy in Greece, and
Mhm,
she had been working with a local, shelter with kids on the spectrum,
mhm.
um, not a shelter, but a workshop, and she arranged to have a sensory friendly an extra performance of Grease that was sensory friendly. So the
Mhm.
lights came to half, the sound cues were lower, the lighting cues, if there was a flash,
I
wasn't flash.
understand. Yep, got
It's
it.
it's just it's it's just taking your audience into account and giving them a safe space to experience the same thing on a level that they can experience it. It's really
Yep.
great. And Yellowfinch does a lot of that. They also have they also take like they'll take like a story. They do literary workshops. Well, they'll take Peter Rabbit and
Mhm,
they'll turn it into something that's sensory friendly. They
mhm,
also have a new immersive theatrical production that they're going to bring out in the fall, I think, and it's called "The Legacy of the Children of Lear," and it's an Irish
mhm.
based on Irish folklore, and that's the kind of thing that they'll be touring with. So definitely check them out. The yellowfinchproject.com.
Okay.
They're also on Facebook and Instagram. And the Theater Development Fund, the autism friendly performances,
Yeah,
if your child is on the spectrum, definitely do it
yeah.
because, um,
Oh, that sounds
but real,
fantastic.
yeah, it's the great thing is it's so, Kayla, everything about it is intentional.
Right.
They've thought of
Thoughtful.
everything when it comes to this. It, and the joy of, I remember the family that I went with, the boy had an older sister,
Yeah.
and her mom and dad were there, and the look on the sister's face to see her brother
Yeah.
experience this and the joy, oh my god, I get goosebumps just thinking about it because they didn't need to like, if you have a child on the spectrum and you go to a theater, it can be dicey,
Right.
if there's an outburst, the people who paid for tickets are gonna turn around and they're gonna shush you and
Yeah.
they're gonna go to the
Make
usher and there's gonna be
out of the courts for you as a parent. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be a whole thing, and none of that was there. The whole family could just kinda you could see their shoulders relax, and they were like, "Oh, man, look at
Yeah.
how much fun Raymond's having. Raymond's having a blast because
Yeah.
they made this space for him." Um, you can do local, and local is great, and I encourage them, your readers and followers to do that. But New Victory Theater in the city, I don't know, do you know the New Victory Theater?
Yeah.
So the New Vic is great. They've got like all kinds of programs for kids. They've got one coming up in April that's called Yoa. It's an atmospheric Japanese circus with
Okay.
projections and it's wild stuff. And It's the spectacle that you want at a theater.
Something like that is worth a day trip to me. It's like, I always see on the mom's
Yes.
Facebook groups, "What should we do? I wanna do this city thing. Should we do the Slime Museum or the Museum of Ice?" It's like, yeah, you should see a show, but it can be
Yeah.
overwhelming. What are the off Broadway shows that are appropriate for this age? But to use
Sure.
that as the anchor point for your day, love.
Right.
This one
And then you
sounds
can
like
go to the M&M's you can go to the M&M store at the top of you can do all that. That's the carrot, right? But but the other thing that's great about New Victory is that the time frames are condensed. They're not gonna keep you there for 3 hours,
Mhm.
they get
That's
it. They
huge.
get that the audience.
So, one of the things that I get from parents after some local theater productions, mostly high school productions, uh, the timing. Parents are worried about the timing. There's a few shows in the last, year or so that I've been doing this where it's like, "Oh my gosh, I wish someone warned me about how long that was gonna be."
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yes. Yeah,
so
and that's where you really g you're not gonna see Les Mis in an hour and a half.
no.
Les Mis is 3.5, 3:20.
So that
That's
should
just the way it works.
be part of your parameters of, "Are we gonna do this? Can they handle it? What age?" Interest level, etcetera.
And and there's nothing wrong with leaving it half. There's nothing wrong with leaving it intermission and saying, "Wow, wasn't that fun? Let's go get ice cream." You know
Yeah,
what? And if the curtain's at 7, 8:30 is a lot better than 10,
right,
right?
right, exactly.
Just don't
Oh,
get the pizza and soda and a candy bar like I did with my son. Don't do that.
or sit next to a kid who's have that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, hey, this has been so fun. I love theater. I was a
Great,
theater kid growing up. My
great.
favorite show I did was, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Nice.
They made this amazing tradition as a theater group where they had a what did they call it? It was a cape,
A
and so
gypsy robe is what they used to call it, and
the
yeah,
gypsy
yeah,
no, this isn't specific to my high school, great.
right.
So you take a little piece of the set, you sew it on, and I won the gypsy robe my senior year. Um,
Wow. They're
really
they don't
what
call it that anymore. There's a
was that a '90s
connotation.
thing?
No, I think the term gypsy is seen as
Oh,
pejorative, but
right.
there's another. I can't recall what they call it, it's basically on Broadway, the tradition is the person with the most credits in the ensemble gets to wear that robe.
Oh, is
So
that right?
every opening night, they hand out that robe. That robe goes to the most senior member of the ensemble.
I see,
It's a great Broadway tradition, but I
yeah,
can't recall what they call it now. There's another name for it.
yeah. Well, I'll
But
have to have you back on maybe. I don't know how much you know about, summer camps, but I did a summer camp database, and one of the biggest sections, especially in Westchester County, is,
yes,
theater camps. Oh my gosh, there's so
absolutely.
much. Sort of like I was sort of interested in it from my 8-year-old, as sort of like a theater is great for confidence. For a kid that,
Totally.
hasn't quite found their thing, it's like, "We're gonna put you in theater. You're a part of this team sport, this is your"
Yes. Yep.
and some kids
It
just
is it is
amazing.
It is
But
a it
so
is a, it is a sport, and it's good. It gives you. You think about it. You're in a show, you're learning collaboration, you're learning how to communicate, you're learning
yeah.
how to deal with difficult people. You're learning how to memorize.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a kid who doesn't want to do that stuff, you can learn how to swing a hammer. You can
Mhm.
learn how to build a set. You can learn what a projection is. You can learn how to use lights. You
Yeah.
can you can sew costumes. You can do any number of collaborative things that you
Mhm.
won't get if you go to a swimming camp. Not that there's anything wrong with swimming camp, but it's different muscles. And
Yeah.
I just like to think that theater kids get it. They learn problem solving like nobody learns problem solving just
Yeah.
because they have to. There's a goal and they have to get there. So
Right,
yeah.
right. And it's quick, and it's like, it's this intense time, and you're around
Yes.
these people, for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It's such a high. I love it, and
Yep.
I think that's why I'm pushing it with my own kids. It's like, even if they don't become a theater kid, just appreciate it because it's such a beautiful
Yeah,
form of art. Yeah.
sure,
Where
absolutely.
can my
Yep.
readers, find your writings? And
So
you've got things going on.
I'm at petekramer.substack.com. I'm on Instagram at pkramer1,
Mhm.
um, and on Facebook. So yeah, check me out. It's a great run. We have the snow is not helping. The snow is not helping because this week I've got to see 10, I've got to visit 10 shows in rehearsal. And then next week I think it's 20. So I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we'll get to as many as we can. And this afternoon I'll be posting that story about Greece uh, at,
Right.
at School of the Holy Child with some videos and all kinds of interviews and kind of fun stuff. So check it out.
Perfect. Well, I'm so glad to
Thanks so
have
much
you
for having me, Kayla. It was
come back
great to be with you.
chat with us.
Will do.
All right. Talk
Sounds
soon.
great. Take
Bye.
care.